Welcome back to the Comic Book ASM Artist. Today we're going to be doing a review of the movie The Batman, as well as building this little Lego-inspired or Batman-inspired Lego set. So, we're just going to get right into it. Just initially, if you haven't seen the movie yet, my just broad feelings, movie's good. Go see it. That being said, we're going to get into details, spoilers, all that sort of stuff. Not too technical, but I think it's just better if I talk about the movie and the way I reacted to certain elements and things like that. So yeah, this fun little set here. This was actually pretty affordable. This is only a little $15 Lego set. They also have a Batmobile set that comes with the Penguin and him for $30, and then a Batcave set that comes with like the Riddler and Alfred and the Commissioner Gordon and stuff like that too. So, all right, so I'm just gonna start talking about the movie here while I'm working on the Legos here. So yeah, initial reactions. I'm just gonna kind of go through things in my head. I will start with kind of what I started with my Snyder Cut thing. Music is a standout to me in this film. The use of certain songs and just the overall way, the like over soundtrack was composed, the instrumental as well as the songs used. Having Ave Maria used for the Riddler's theme was just a really good move, really genius. I've always felt that song has a little bit of an eeriness to it. Even though it's a prayer to Mary, like Mother Mary, so it's kind of interesting that they use this song about prayer to instill unease amongst the viewers. But if you don't know that, like it's just kind of it's a little bit of an intense song. And then yeah, like it worked perfectly because I brought two of my boys with me, brought two of my kids with me. One is a teenager and the one is younger than a teenager, not too much younger, but yeah, basically the 11-year-old, anytime he heard the song, he was scared, which is very interesting. That means that they did their design with it right, because they made the song to instill fear, unease. And so yeah, I thought it was interesting just to see him react to it in that way. Basically like the first instance, the beginning of the film when they use it, and it instills, it shows the murder and everything like that. That granted, that is the most intense murder in the film, I'd say. There are more disturbing ones that happen, but they don't appear on screen the way that one did. And so because my kid saw that one, he hid his eyes and tried to cover his ears anytime there was another appearance or another use of that song. So I have a feeling if the movie wasn't rated R, we'd probably get more violent moments like that opening scene with the Riddler. But that is just speculation on my part. The use of Something in the Way. Another huge thing that was impactful. That's a very contemplative song. Used as a way for Bruce to just kind of deal internally with what it is he's doing and stuff like that. And the song itself it brings a bit of contemplativeness, as well as just kind of, I don't know, for me it elicited feelings of when I watched The Crow, but it's been a long time since I've seen The Crow. But The Crow is one of those films that is, it was a really well done film. So it's almost like, an expanding upon that same feeling or universe, even though I know it's not. You know, DC and the Crow are not related. But it certainly makes me feel and remember that film whenever they would play that song. Now, they did not have like the regular, classic Batman theme in that film, but they were trying to establish their own thing. They still had plenty of epic music instrumentals in it, and it all worked. The themes worked. When you hear certain songs and elements, certain things were happening on the screen. So perfect. The music was great. Same with the sound as well. I appreciated the fact that they had in like the leather creaches for like the Batman's costume when he would move and stuff. Just really great. Another layer of immersion that they didn't have to do that they did. Oh yeah, and the film also elicited goosebumps as well for me. Both really with the music is what did that for me. So, which is not surprising, especially if you're keen and sensitive to ASMR. A lot of times music will be something that triggers it as well. So yeah, I did have like waves of ASMR as well as goosebumps and all those sort of things too. So that's not what everyone might experience, but I remember me personally, and that was something unique for me. Yeah, so I think that was one more way to help keep me engaged in the film, was to have that extra sensory feeling to it. Now, visually wise, yes, Bat movie was done very well. Initially, when the film came out, I mean, everyone is excited about Batman and stuff. Um, the first glance stuff, like, okay, it's more practical, I get it, that sort of stuff. But to see the movie fleshed out, to see everyone in action, everything was really well done. Um, I'm still bummed we didn't even at the end get like an upgraded Catwoman mask. But that was really my only gripe. The suits themselves were great. They were practical. They made sense. Um, Even the Riddlers, which was super weird. Like the one that they could have done practical and straight from the comics and stuff like that, or the animated series. We've never seen the Riddler properly. Well, we may have in Gotham, but I didn't really pay attention to that show. But as far as movies go, like, I would like to see like a classy Riddler, but they did not go that direction for this movie. He had this weird, um, I guess it's a gimp mask, and he had like this big puffy overcoat and stuff. That was more or less to conceal his identity, to conceal who he was, and to instill fear as well. He's a smart guy, so if he had presented himself in the way he looked truthfully in the film later when he gets, compromised, then yeah, it wouldn't have had the same effect. So he had to have this menacing look to him to instill that fear. So I would still like to see a traditional Riddler in a suit. And, initially, like I said, I wasn't a huge fan of the weird leather mask and all that sort of stuff. It was kind of a theme too, over and over again, talking about unmasking Gotham, unmasking this and that. So that was a piece of it too. But yeah, the suits themselves. So for the Batman suit, I was heavily inspired by Lee Bermejo's work, and I'll show it off in my next haul video. But yeah, Lee Bermejo, he is a great Batman artist. He's been doing Detective Comics covers here for a while now, and he did a lot of great previous Batman work as well. So it's a good choice to use him for inspiration. His stuff is really practical, a bit more compartmental, but it looks great. It looked great on screen. The only thing that really looked, I guess, a bit more handmade would be the cowl, and you really don't even notice it. There's kind of like an initial thing, but on screen that kind of just all goes away. Now regarding Catwoman, hers was a lot more simplistic. Hers was inspired by Darwin Cook's take on the character, even like with the short black hair, which they did do in year one as well. And also too when she wears like the leather bustier and all that sort of stuff. That's like a one-to-one image of some drawings of her in year one. So, and I saw that and recognized that. So yeah, really good. Just little references. Really good elements there. Now, we know Penguin has had a bit of, he can be a classy looking guy. So, seeing him in that way was good, Seeing him as a not comedic visual, but, as a more practical, just crime boss was cool. Now, do I still like interpretations that we've had of him in the past? Well, of course, But this was going for a practical, realistic approach. And I would certainly say they nailed that. Apparently, though, they were very adamant on him not having like the little, the cigarette stick or even a cigar or anything. They were very adamant on him not having that. So that was kind of interesting. I read an interview with Colin Farrell about that. I guess they were worried about more people smoking. But yeah, he certainly was a standout character in that movie. He wasn't the main villain, but he was a huge part of it. And I feel like everyone got proper screen time. Now, granted, everyone had enough screen time because, the movie was quite lengthy, but, that didn't seem to matter. By the way, I did jump ahead a bit. There was a train and stuff, and I still have the Catwoman bike to build on top of this, so if you've noticed, there's a bit more progress here. So, but yeah, the length of the movie didn't really matter to me. Like, I know people have been saying, oh, it's really long. It is. It's a 3 hour long movie. But to me, it didn't feel like it. I really enjoyed the film. It wasn't a task for me to watch. I think having all those little nuances and all those elements kind of helps. Some people was retread and stuff. We've certainly had enough instances where they've talked about, crime bosses in the past, Falcone, Maroni, all this sort of stuff. But yeah, this iteration was just really engrossing. It really just drew me in. So, and I mean, even going in, I told my kids, I was like, hey, this is going to be a more serious Batman. It's going to have some slower moments in it. It's a different type of Batman movie, and it was. But it was a great Batman movie. I absolutely loved it. An interesting bit in the film, they kept calling him Vengeance instead of Batman. I'm not sure, but I would imagine the director or someone probably at one point didn't even want to call the movie The Batman, but rather Vengeance. So I'm not sure if they did or not, but that was kind of what I felt. Because they kind of made it a point. They literally not once did they call him Batman in the movie. They hurled a couple random, insults about his costume and stuff. But yeah, referred to himself as vengeance over and over and over again, and others did too. Even Pym was like, "Oh, this is vengeance," and he was doing it more of a joking way, I think. But still, I was like, "Oh, even Penguin said it," So just kind of interesting. But I think DC with their branding, they're just like, "Hey, we can't just call this movie that. We can't throw away." The multi-million-dollar brand that is Batman. But it was great. It really was. I know story-wise, they said they had influence of The Long Halloween, Batman Year One, and Batman Ego. Now, I have read Batman Long Halloween. I don't recall a lot of details from it. I know it deals with crime bosses and stuff. I think that was where they got the bit where they're talking about the operating table and all that sort of stuff, where he was operated on and the on their dining room table and all that sort of stuff. And then I think that was really the main bit from there. I could be wrong, but there wasn't a lot else I remembered from Long Halloween, and really the visuals of that book. I love Tim Sale's work. Was the main standout to me were the visuals and not the story too much. And it's a longer graphic novel as well. So, but I know Batman Year One, absolute influence there, talking about, cleaning up Gotham's police department, all this sort of stuff. Very, very much in the way of how Year One story, and then like Selina's bits too, her having, working a unsavory side job, or her main job. I think she was a hooker or a prostitute, or a stripper. I don't remember in Year One, but like I said, I remember her wearing the suit and kind of living in the slums there a bit, and all those sort of things. But I have never read Ego. I'd like to, for sure. I like Darwin Cook. It's kind of what started to get Darwin to do more comic work, I believe. I could be wrong. But yeah, so his take on Catwoman's suit was the inspiration for her look in the film. And then Ego, from what I've read, deals a lot with Bruce internalizing who he is and what he does, which this movie does very well. We see much more of the tortured Bruce. Yeah, and then honestly, I was surprised when they went after Alfred in there, and I thought they had even killed him, because it's a brand new film. They can do whatever they want, right? So yeah, there was an element of tension there. I love the fact, even at the end of the day, the Riddler did not put that piece together that Batman was Bruce. Because at that point, when he had sent that to Bruce's home, like, it's kind of understood, like, oh crap, he knows I'm Batman. But he left those two Batman messages at all of his places. He knew Batman was going to be involved in working the case, and in his mind, helping him. He's like, oh, you helped me bring him to the light and all this sort of stuff. But he didn't put that piece together that Bruce was Batman, which honestly he felt like he did. But even in that room, Bruce was like, oh, yeah, well, you got almost everyone. So I thought that was great. And I thought it was smart for him too. He's like, I'm just not gonna react. and in turn not reacting. If he had, he would have blown it all. But yeah, it was through our movie. I did need to use the restroom in the middle of the film, right after the scene where Batman breaks out of the police department there, where he slugs Jim, and they're up on the roof. I thought as soon as they're up on the roof, I was like, okay, this is a good point to go. And then I came back, and they're in the middle of like this heist or whatever with the penguin. I was like, what the heck? I was gone for like 2 minutes. So that was a little annoying because I thought, oh, surely if there's a place to use the bathroom, it's this. And then I come back and there's all this action happening. It's like, man. But yeah, it was good. It was a good movie. So I look forward to whatever else they plan on doing. Absolutely. So I'm trying to think what else here. Oh yeah, I almost expected the misdirection with the Riddler being Hush, because throughout the film, like Batman not being referred to Batman and stuff like that. I'm just like, well, he hasn't personally called himself the Riddler. I don't remember if he did or not, but in that moment when I was putting it together in my head, I was like, I don't think he's called himself the Riddler, so maybe he's actually going to be Hush. Hush covers his face, this sort of stuff. And that was wrong. They did make a reference to to the family name. I'm trying to remember in a second. I'm like, oh, what's his last name or whatever. Let's see. I blanked on it, but in that moment, I was like, oh yeah, no, that's not Hush's name, but the reporter that got killed shared the same last name as Hush. I'm blanking on it. What the heck? I don't know. I forgot. I'm sorry, but yeah, if you know Hush, you know that. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. So, but yeah, in the comics, he was like a childhood friend of Wayne, and he takes him through this who's who of gauntlet style stuff to get through to him and confront him and all this sort of stuff. And there's a period where like, oh, this could be Jason Todd and all that. Clayface does a stand-in, and later on, it's weird in the comics. They're like, oh yeah, no, that actually wasn't Hush, but this is Hush here. All this sort of weird stuff. But yeah, no, he's basically like a childhood friend of Bruce, who who chose another path. And then there's eventually a period where he tries to get at Wayne and reconstructs his own face. And the book even fills in for Bruce Wayne for a period when Bruce is considered dead after the crisis event where he gets killed by Darkseid, quote unquote. Comics are very tricky sometimes. Now, yeah, I would certainly say, they're like, oh, well, this is like a year two Batman story. Um, the the crooked police department stuff, that certainly has year one written all over it. Everything else about that movie to me, though, seemed very much like a later, more skilled Bruce. He's young, he's got that going for him for sure. But as far as like combat and things like that, Bruce was looking like he was pretty skillful with what he did, you know. And yeah, just everything he did was pretty skillful. Trying to figure out why this piece here has got it flipped that way. Oh, well, it's like that on the thing. I don't do a ton of Legos, so you'll have to excuse me. I just thought this would kind of be something different, so y'all don't have another talking head about the movie. Okay, and this clips to here, maybe. Alright, so it looks like we've got one bat bike here. Oh, there's still a couple more pieces. What is his name? Thomas something. I'm still thinking about the name of Hush. I'm so sorry. That's just my mind. And I've got the book on the shelf over there. I just don't feel like grabbing it. But yeah, no, I expected that after, but I'm just like, well, you know, they could do the bait and switch that way. Which the twist was actually elements already from the comics and stuff about, you know, Thomas Wayne's involvement in the mafia, more or less as protection for his family and stuff, not, you know, being involved in dirty deeds and whacking people and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, more in lines with, I just want to make sure my family's safe. And then in turn there was retaliation, where it's not confirmed, but Alfred relayed it was more likely a hit in that alleyway with his mom and his dad, and Bruce was orphaned after that. Alright, so I think that's the last piece there. Alright, so now we have our little bat bike. Here we go. Yeah, so I cheated. I cut here. I pulled my volume of Hush off the shelf. It is Thomas Elliot is the real name of Hush. And yeah, he was a surgeon as well. I did remember that bit. So, but yeah, the director said he would like to do a Hush movie. And then the film, there's like Easter eggs or stuff at the end of the movie. Whenever it shows I think a website, and you go to the website, and part of one of the clues says Hush. So, will they do a Hush movie? I don't know. It's always strange when they do stuff like that because it's so much later in the Batman mythos. You know, Hush was a much later story. Like I said, you know, even the element of having a dead Robin involved in it, you know. So how do you tell stories like that successfully without, you know, just kind of throwing everything in there? He's also mentioned interest in like the Court of Owls. Once again, a later Batman story. They're a group that has been around historically since the beginning in Gotham, one of the founding groups, you know. But still, another thing that they're like, oh, we might do that. So it's always interesting whenever they want to do things like that. I mean, I'd be more than happy to see a Court of Owls movie as well as a Hush movie, you know. Oh yeah, I remember at the end of the film there when Batman is almost done in, when he loses consciousness and all that, and he takes that freaking syringe or whatever, injects himself in the leg. They never say what it is. If you're a Batman person, you can assume that that's venom. You know, it's a bright, glowing green and all this sort of stuff. Was it just adrenaline? Who knows? But I feel like that was probably a nod as well to venom, to the drug he used, that used by Bane. And yeah, to have that in the universe certainly makes sense, and would give Batman a bit of an edge for sure. And even in the books, I've never read the story actually, the Batman and Venom story, which is, you know, about him basically dealing with not using that drug to help him get his edge. But that would certainly be an interesting thing to look at too. And something that did happen, granted it was briefly, in a Batman story. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see that. And I would certainly be up for a different interpretation of Bane than what we saw. One that doesn't have that funny voice. So yeah, oh yeah, at the end too, when they have Riddler share a moment with possibly the Joker, with the laughter and all that, it's kind of assumed like that's who it is. Which that'd be fine. Looks like Selina's driving with a Batarang too. Why not, right? They work together in the film, so surely they can he can give her one of his weapons. If I could find it here. Here we go. No, this is part of the bat symbol, which does glow in the dark, by the way. They've got a glow in the dark sticker for it. I'm trying to think what else here. Yeah, I mean, I was engaged the whole film. So I certainly don't have a problem with the length of it. Yeah, that's what I hate with Lego. Sometimes the picture, you see kind of the darker coloring here, and so you're looking for a darker color. And yeah, no, I don't feel that that was a year two Batman story at all. But it was good. Now, regarding my experience at the theater, was a little frustrating because I had my kids with me, and we ordered. When I got up there, it's just like I want a refillable popcorn and, you know, some refillable sodas and stuff like that. And they rung it up and they're filling it, and then like the screen behind the cashier changed, like the monitor behind, or the projector, or whatever you want to call it. And then it showed the Batman promo there, the combo with the drink in the cup. And I was like, oh, how do I get that? She's like, oh, it's a combo. So I was like, well, how do I get that? Is it too late to do that? And she's like, oh yeah, it's too late. And yeah, so that sucked. So what should have been, she should have offered or promoted that. It was just her blindly, ringing up this stuff and all this crap. And eventually I ended up getting my own from there. So I spent another $24 so I could get the cup here, which from afar I thought this was just a solid gray cup. So it's got a texture to it. Kind of fun. It reminds me of how they would, etch on the glasses for like the Batman Forever McDonald's cups and stuff. But it's a sturdier plastic too, so that's nice. It wasn't just like a regular, drink cup plastic. The little symbol on there. And then we got the bucket here. Too big to go in frame, but yeah, it's just kind of got the standard, the standard promotional image of the Batman. So yeah, I ended up having to buy another stinking combo. So that was annoying. I'm sure if I had like raised a big stink and all this sort of stuff, I probably could have gotten it. But I'm not one of those type of people to do that. And I think this part glows in the dark too. Seems pretty. I don't know, maybe it needs some more light on it. Yeah, you can see it there. A little bit. Yeah, for sure, that's where your glow is. Now what's the sticker here? There we go, so it spins too, so if you put the sticker on a bit differently, you can manage to straighten it out somehow, so that's good. As I was putting it on, I was concerned with that. Let's see. So yeah, I'm glad I chose this and not a more involved set. I like Legos fine, but I'm not super fast at building them. Oh, cool. So you can turn it there. Or maybe it felt like it got a little loose on me. Alright, so there is our bat signal. Yeah, no, they say we got pieces for a bike here. I don't see enough of them, but I will do what they tell me. So yeah, let me know down below what were some of your favorite things about the movie. Did you like it? Did you hate it? And yeah, it doesn't mind. You don't have to agree with me in the movie. I'm not huge on argumenting at all, but you're more than welcome to voice your own views. This is a space where you can do that. So no one is right or wrong. Everyone is different, so people like different things. Just rounding out the details on the bike here. We had a plane go overhead, so once again made a bit of progress here off camera. And we're almost through. I think that's a full bike there, and then we've got like a little vault here. Alright, so it looks like we've got all the elements here. So we've got the bat bike here. We've got Selena on her bike. And then we've got our bat signal there. And our little vault. So yeah, that's gonna do it for me. Closing thoughts on the movie. Fantastic movie. Go see it. Let me know down below what you enjoyed, what you didn't like. Are you anxious for a sequel? Do you want to see those characters that they talked about kicking around? Let me know down below. Like, comment, subscribe. We're super, super, super close to doing our 2,000 subscriber giveaway. Make sure you subscribe so you can be a part of that. We will go live to do the drawing, so make sure to hit the bell. And as always, you all have a super slumber. Thanks. Bye.